Good afternoon and welcome to another edition of Money Talk with Melanie. I am your business diva, Melanie Collette, broadcasting live from beautiful Cape May County, New Jersey via SHR Media and High Plains Pundit Talk Radio. I remember that even though I haven't been on the air in like a week and a half. And I am so sorry. I have been so busy. And welcome to the Facebook chat, Mike Fitzpatrick, who's our guest today from the CEO at NCX Group Security. We're going to talk to him today about the 7 deadly sins of cybersecurity. Welcome, Howard Fox and Todd Kittner and Faustino. Hi, and if I missed you, I'm really sorry because the chat is moving really fast. Greg Wilson, hello, darling. How are you? I toyed with, hi, Jose. If any of you saw my Facebook Live video earlier today, I was trying to get from my other job to the studio, and it was harrowing. I live in the Northeast, which is getting pummeled with a nor'easter right now. And while I live at the beach, I work in a more north end, and it is absolutely like I work near Philly, which Philly schools actually closed today. Because the weather is so bad. It was really ugly. So I did like a little spin thing like 3 times. So my body's actually like kind of sore. I didn't hit anything, but I think it's just from the stress of, trees and ice. Oh, and I drive a Volkswagen Beetle, which is not like terrific in the snow. And listen, I totally adore my salesperson, James, who sold me the car, but he did not, one of the things that he didn't mention is that it's not awesome in the snow. I'm just saying. I knew it wasn't. But I went from like I used to drive a Nissan Xterra, and if you've ever seen one of those, they're like really big SUV. And I went from that to a Beetle, which is kind of in my dream car, so. But they're not terrific in the snow, and even less so on the ice. So I had a very exciting ride home today. But even more, Todd, the spin thing. Yes, the spin thing, and not the kind that's going on at the White House. See a transition like that? Because in Money Talk News today, President Trump lost one of his key economic advisors, Gary Cohn, today. Apparently, it's a huge dispute about the whole trade situation and tariff situation on aluminum and steel. And listen, my first instincts, my initial instincts, and welcome to the chat, Richard and Pebbles, hello. My first instinct says, it sounds fair to me. I mean, if we have a 0 tariff for some countries and their tariff on us is like 25%, that sounds like a legitimate issue. And that's part of the reason why we hired him. It sure enough wasn't for his communication acumen. I'm sorry. I really try. With President Trump, I do. I try. But there are days. But I'm saying this is why we hired him, for his business acumen. This is why we voted for him to do stuff like this. So, I mean, to me, I understand the arguments that ultimately it's going to cost, taxpayers more money, etc. I get it. I understand that. But ultimately, we both want the same thing, right? We both countries, no matter which countries we're dealing with, Canada, China, Switzerland, who was here yesterday, we all want the same thing, which is to have our products bought. And, President Trump is absolutely right about the fact that we're getting played. Like, seriously. I understand that our economy is huge, but that is and that's kind of what the Prime Minister of Switzerland said yesterday when the press was questioning him at the press conference about like what his position was on our tariffs. And he kind of alluded to, Keith Little, hello, alluded to, basically like we're the big guys on the block, and kind of suggested that we were being unfair. But like, hello, What's unfair? Like literally you're paying zero and taxing our people like 25% in your own country. No, come on now. that's ridiculous. That's crazy talk. And President Trump is absolutely right on this. I give him permission to keep tweeting about tariffs specifically. And that is all. I'm kidding. I'm just joking. Love President Trump. He's doing an awesome job, and I do mean that sincerely. He's doing a great job. Unfortunately, also in the news, and this is crazy, opioid overdoses have increased 30% between June 16th and September, June 2016 and September 2017, according to the CDC. That is insane. That I'll be the first to admit that from a personal perspective, I can't relate to having an addiction. It's so very sad. So I want to relate, but I can't relate unless, you call like pics of Idris Elba an addiction. I'm kidding. but no, I really can't relate to that. And some people, Chris Christie, our former governor here in New Jersey, tells a story about a friend he had who was a lawyer. Unfortunately, he ended up ODing. Who was a lawyer, had some type of surgery, and ended up getting addicted. It's a heartbreaking story, and the guy lost everything, including his life. Okay, Greg Wilson says coffee addiction. Okay, that's legitimate. That's true. But I just want to be lively for you guys, Greg. I lack energy. But Chris Christie had a huge movement afoot in New Jersey, and of course was on President Trump's council about opioid addiction. Some people apparently can take them and they're perfectly fine, and then some people can't. And my heart just goes out to those people because I can't. The conservative in me is like, well, people make choices, blah blah blah. But in the case of prescription drugs, I am sure people don't choose to stay addicted to prescription drugs. And like I said, I've had wisdom teeth pulled. I've had surgeries where I've had those type of drugs, and it's never affected me that way. I cannot imagine what that must be like. And apparently the problem is escalating. And so that's just a very sad report from the CDC. And I'm hoping that President Trump seems to be making a serious effort to do something about that. And so but the report is really that report's not encouraging at all. It really is. And it's just very sad. Okay, on that cheerful note, you're listening to Money Talk with Melanie. I'm your business diva, Melanie Collette. My guest today is the one and only Mike Fitzpatrick, cybersecurity expert, founder and CEO of NCX Group Security. He's going to talk to us today about the 7 deadly sins of cybersecurity. Looking very forward to that conversation. We'll be back in a few moments.
Sponsored by the Tri-County Liberty Coalition. The evil mission to disarm law-abiding Americans rages on. Hello, I'm Ron Edwards. On today's page from the Edwards Notebook, the horrendous shooting at Majority Stoneman Douglas High School in Broward County, Florida, was itself horrible enough. But rather than mobilize and quickly adopt real solutions to such events, the consortium of leftist activists and government officials who should understand the concept of properly enforcing laws and doing away with actual criminals rather than law-abiding sovereign citizens that have done no harm. It was a disturbed individual whom law enforcement officials were all well aware of who committed the crime. But according to a report that ran probably only one time on ABC's Good Morning America, a teacher said that she saw someone in full police gear shooting in the school hallway as she was gathering students into her classroom to avoid gunfire. Now, if officials were so serious about safety of students, they would spend their time enforcing laws already on the books and concentrate on putting away murdering thugs permanently. The NRA and law-abiding gun owners are not guilty of wrongdoing and should be left alone. The government is supposed to bring fear into the hearts of evildoers and protection for law-abiding Americans. If not, then it should be replaced. I'm Ron Edwards. Sponsored by the Tri-County Liberty Coalition.
Ron Edwards, the new voice of America. Who likes paying taxes? Nobody. That's why Eva Rosenberg from TaxMama.com wants you to pay less of them. Read Small Business Taxes Made Easy and learn how legally hiring your spouse and children can slash your taxes. Learn how to set up a business plan that minimizes taxes, the benefits of setting up an exit plan, how to avoid getting audited, and how to legally increase your deductible expenses with better record-keeping techniques. Don't let the IRS squeeze you out of every penny. Visit TaxMama.com. Click on Ask a Tax Question to get free answers to your tax and business questions. That's TaxMama.com.
My name is David Barnett, and I've been helping people buy and sell small and medium-sized businesses since 2008. So far this year, I've gone on 5 vacations. It's because I've got my own business. When you get tired of being managed by someone else and you decide that business ownership is right for you without the risk of starting your own unproven enterprise, then come over to businessbuyeradvantage.com. There are over 100 YouTube videos on buying and selling businesses that you can watch for free. That's businessbuyeradvantage.com.
And welcome back. You're listening to Money Talk with Melanie. I am your business diva, Melanie Collette, and today's guest is the one and only Michael Fitzpatrick, who returns to us every single month, the first week of the month, the first Wednesday of every month. He is the founder and CEO of NCX Group. He is a mega successful information risk management firm, NCX Group, which is awesome. He's been doing this for 35 years in the information technology industry, and he's got a vast list of clients that if he told you who they were, he'd have to kill you. So without further ado, Michael Fitzpatrick, how are you, dear?
I'm doing well, Melanie. How are you?
I'm awesome now that I'm home and not gliding across the highway. So that's
so ice skating really wasn't in your itinerary for the day? Is that what I'm hearing?
No, particularly not inside a metal tomb. No, so that's it's definitely not a thing. So I'm grateful to be home and to be back, and grateful to be talking to you and being back on the air today. Absolutely.
No, as usual, I've been looking forward to this all day long.
Oh, that's excellent. No one ever says that to me. I'm a high school teacher. No one ever says they're looking forward to talking to me. No. No, I appreciate that very much. And I love your topic today of the 7 deadly sins of cybersecurity, because I think it's really important, as I'm sure you're aware. But businesses spend thousands on cybersecurity, and they also lose thousands, and even their business, when there's some type of security breach. So it's definitely an important topic.
Well, and that's really what spawned this book, this ebook that we did a few years ago. We've added to it over the last couple of years, but what we saw were the same vulnerabilities, the same areas within companies, regardless of size, where they all struggle. And that really created the 7 deadly sins, borrowing a little bit from history, but created the 7 deadly sins of cybersecurity. The first sin in this, and it's really a 1 and a 1A, and that is physical security. Without physical security, you don't have data security. If I can talk my way, and we've talked about this before, if I can talk my way into your offices and into your building, that will give me access to your data. So physical security is absolutely paramount in building a foundation within your company for cybersecurity.
And now, what do you mean when you say physical security? Because when we think of cybersecurity, we only think of things that are going on in our computer, right? In our email and things like that. But what do you mean when you say physical security?
Physical security is access to your building, being able to walk in, gain access to records, to files, to computer systems. You know, one of the things that I've talked about with executives in the past is, if I'm going to hack you, I'm not coming in, you know, through your router, your switch, or your firewall. I'm actually going to come in as part of your cleaning crew because, one, I know you're probably not doing background checks on it. Two, there's no one around to actually see what I'm doing while everybody's gone and part of the cleaning crew. Three, I can plant a key logging device to actually capture keystrokes. And if that's not available, I can install software that will do the same thing. It will actually email me all of the keystrokes that you've made through the course of a day, 2 days, 3 days, a month. So without physical security, there is no data security.
That is so right. You know, I did secretarial work for a long time, and I can't remember what organization it was that had a major security breach, but the first thing I said was, it's a low-level employee. It is not it's not a high-level employee that made this mistake. It's a low-level person nobody's been thinking about or suspecting. And sure enough, it was.
Well, I mean, you never know where it's going to come from. I mean, from a physical security standpoint, there's a window company out of St. Louis, Missouri, I believe it is. The Chinese government has tried to hack a company to get the plans to their windmill, their design, their technology for years, and they couldn't do it because everything was what we call air gapped. So the computers that had all the plans for their technology were not connected to the internet. What the Chinese government ended up doing was paying somebody who worked for the company to get them access so they could steal the plan.
My good, and that's the physical access that, again, I don't think a lot of people consider. They really don't.
Correct.
You know, and that's your first deadly sin.
That's the first deadly sin. And if you get better from a physical security standpoint, you harden how people come and go within your buildings, much like what we're talking about with the schools, right? You harden how people come and go within your brick and mortar facilities. You're going to have better control. I'll give you another real quick example. We were doing a security assessment for a hospital, and we go through, and I've talked about this before, we rattled the doors, and one of the doors opened up, and again, we have no credentials on us, and it's amazing people won't challenge you when you just appear to know what you're doing. We walked in, and inside the room was a brand new x-ray machine that was attached to the network. We got online, found out what the default username and password was for that particular model. We tried it. It had not been reset, and we had access to the network through that x-ray machine that had not been set up to be utilized in the hospital.
Oh, my word. And how many times do we all probably do that, even on a personal level? Not lock your stuff down. I mean, I'm with kids all day, so all my stuff is like super password protected because, God forbid, one of them got a hold of any of my devices. But I mean, that how often do we do that at work? I don't think any of us are nearly as careful at work as we are at home, and we're not all that careful at home.
No, and you know, people are getting better about security, but they don't give it the importance that they should give it. And so, again, these sins are the result of thousands of assessments. These are common areas of deficiency that every company has, from a company with 15 employees all the way up to a Fortune 50 company. They all have these issues that we're talking about today. So 1A in this equation is corporate culture. What is your culture? What is your appetite for risk?
Okay, so
how important is it to you within your organization, and do your employees know how important it is?
There's the key right there, I think, is do your employees know how important it is? Because
well, when I talk, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No. I was going to think like your average person that is not involved in the business directly, your peripheral employees, your like you said, your cleaning service, your mail person, it's not necessarily involved in the meat of the business. Their activities are peripheral, may not completely understand the level of importance there.
Well, and that's absolutely true. We see it day in, day out with companies that you have some companies that are really focused on meeting compliance. You have other companies that are focused on really addressing security. And then you have a bunch of other companies that haven't really done anything and don't really seem to want to pay attention to it. So it's an interesting dynamic, but culture within an organization plays an incredible role in whether or not you're going to be effective with it. You have to make it part of your DNA. You have to make it part of the air that you breathe every day. It's got to be a business process within the organization that everybody understands, everybody is adhering to, and if they don't, then you've got to make personnel changes.
You certainly do. Otherwise, you're going to have a big problem because the cost and the reason why we call it deadly sins is because it could kill your business, right?
Correct. Absolutely.
For
no joke. I mean, 66% of them don't make it. After a breach, 66% don't make it.
Indeed. So what is another one? We have the physical component, and what's the second one?
The second one is your culture, your DNA.
All right.
The third one in this is there's no silver bullet, right? The technology is not going to save us. There is no magic tap that's going to make the bad man go away.
Are you sure? Because computers know everything. Are you positive? Because don't they?
Did you miss the part where I talked my way in?
Oh yeah, that's right. And here's the other part of that. And I used to tell my computer programming students this is that the program's only as good as the programmer. All those fixes that you get, nobody ever looks at like what they're fixing, right? But I used to tell them next time your iPhone updates, look and see. You can actually look and see what it is they're doing. First thing on the list is always bug fixes.
Well, it's interesting that you mentioned that. I was reading an article the other day on AI and how in Israel and other places, they've looked at how judges adjudicate a case before them, how early in the morning after they've had some food and they're awake, the sentence is much more lenient than in the afternoon or closer towards lunch when they're hungry, a little bit more irritable, those kinds of things. They see the same thing on parole boards too. So
yes.
If you're being heard early in the morning, chances are pretty good that you're going to come out with a verdict that you want. So in order to try to make it a more level playing field, take the human element out of it, they've played with this concept of adjudication utilizing artificial intelligence now. And the interesting thing about this is just looking at the merits of the case, just looking at the facts of the case, what was interesting is white criminals were given parole more than African Americans.
Oh no! Say it ain't so.
Just off of the algorithm.
So
the programmers, to your point, had to go back and change the algorithm.
Racist computer programs. Yeah.
But it's math, right?
Right. it definitely is math. And if we, and if for my audience sake, if we just like geeked out just like a little tiny bit too much,
Sorry.
no. I was quite enjoying it as a programming person, but I'm not sure if we, but you're absolutely right. And algorithms are just kind of the directions that programmers give programs. The very simple simplification of what an algorithm is kind of tells them under certain circumstances follow this protocol, that kind of thing. And so,
correct,
right? You tend to forget you tend to forget when you're a computer geek that everybody doesn't know things like what an algorithm is. So I just thought the teacher in me felt the need to. Go ahead.
You said here you're concerned about AI from the standpoint of what is it that the programmers are going to be programming artificial intelligence with? Because to your point, the programming is only as good as the people putting it in. So, but it's interesting from a technology standpoint with cybersecurity, we're now starting to use more artificial intelligence. There's a new service that we launched this week that is active cyber threat hunting. Forever, from a security standpoint, it's defend. It's like you're a hockey goalie all the time, knocking things away, and you can't go out and go get them. You can't go hunt. So this particular platform that we're utilizing was used out of the Canadian government to go hunt cyber threats. And so what we're able to do now is actively go pursue threats that are in your environment and in your network and not wait for them to attack.
Well, now that's just awesome. a crazy approach. You mean we shouldn't wait until every single file in our directory is infected before we take some type of action?
Well, we haven't really had a choice, right? That's the technology that's involved in this incorporates AI. It incorporates machine learning. It incorporates a human component of really knowing what anomaly that you're looking at, what threats you're looking at. Is this real or is this imaginary? AI and machine learning, they don't have the ability to know intent yet. What they are able to do is identify a potential threat that you have to look at.
And in a way, it's kind of good that they're not identifying intent, I think. Because I could see how that could skew. I mean, that could just go off, that could just really throw things off, I would think, if we were somehow programming AI to identify intent, because that's a very human thing and kind of subjective.
Very much so. So I think over time that will get better, but there are literally so many threats from so many directions. One of the new ones right now, because we've talked about cryptocurrency in the past, is crypto mining. So basically, if you go click on an ad on a web browser, what they're doing is that then plants a crypto kit on your computer that now utilizes the horsepower of your computer to mine for a cryptocurrency for somebody else.
Oh, wow.
But it's problematic malware that goes into it. So getting back to the 7 deadly, again, there is no technology that's going to save you. The only way that you can move forward and be effective within cybersecurity is to develop a security program for your business. I cannot stress it enough. After 16 years of doing this, those companies that are successful in cybersecurity have an absolute risk management program that they adhere to. It's part of their DNA. It's their culture. It's all of those things. Those who are not successful with it, they're just focusing on compliance and hitting the checkbox.
It's really like everything else in life. You need to have a plan, particularly when things could possibly go wrong. And that's what it sounds like you're saying.
Absolutely. I mean, it's like having a financial plan, a retirement plan.
Exactly.
It's like having a plan for college. You have to have, going back to intent, right? It comes down to what your intent is. this year I did a podcast last week, Focus and Execution in Cybersecurity in 2018. Cybersecurity takes relentless focus to be effective with it. And unless you're dedicating that to it, or you have a team that's dedicating that to it, it is beyond challenging.
It sounds like I have a question in the chat. Greg Wilson, who's also a cybersecurity expert in his own right, had a question. His question was just curious, how long till AI can pass the Turing test? I'm not sure what the Turing test is. Is that one of you IT guys, lingo? Do you know? That's your cyber expert lingo.
I know exactly what he's talking about. And there's really 3 stages of AI. What we have now, what we're calling AI now, is really machine learning, and from a Turing test standpoint, probably not capable. But then you have a new level. The second level is called ASI, which gets human thought, human capability as far as processing information. And then you have AGI, which is the top level, and that is where it starts to get a little scary, because that is, as I understand it with what I've read, is an IQ that's 200 times that of a human.
I don't think that we want that. Like, that reminds me of like some iRobot, Minority Report type stuff. I think we can stop at people, at AI that's like a little less intelligent than we are. I think we need
Melanie, this gets to where what Elon Musk and Bill Gates and some others have said is, don't open this box, right? Don't open this Pandora's box.
Right.
Once you open the box, who's going to stop it? It actually is the next arms race.
Oh gosh, you're right too. You're right about Dick Herschel in the chat wants to know if you computer experts can develop AI that will consistently win an argument with a woman. Listen, Mike, you've been married for many, many years. I suspect if it was possible, that would have been the first thing you worked on.
Yeah, I think that would be the holy grail these days.
You would be a zillionaire. Is there such thing as
honey, just talk to the machine.
and of course that'll go over really well, because there's nothing women love more when they're trying to express their feelings than to be told to talk to someone else. Totally. We're up against the break. On that note, we're up. Greg Wilson says never going to happen. Accurate. We're up against the break. You're listening to Money Talk with Melanie. I'm your business diva, Melanie Collette. My guest today is Michael Fitzpatrick of NCX Group, cybersecurity expert, and we're talking the 7 deadly sins of cybersecurity. We'll be back in a moment.
Conservative media done right. You listen to the SHR Media Network. Hey, it's Sean from the Sackheads Radio Show. Also one of the owners here at the SHR Media Network. Are you opinionated? Have you ever wanted to do your own show? Have you ever heard somebody like the Sackheads and go, yeah, I could probably do that better? Well, now's your chance. Send me a 5-minute clip at sackheadsradio@gmail.com, and maybe you can be part of the SHR broadcast. sackheadsradio@gmail.com.
It's your business diva here, Melanie. I am inviting you to a front row seat as I discuss some of the most intriguing details of wealth and finance, today's movers and shakers in the world of business. Listen in and discover financial truths on a global, domestic, and household scale. Uncover topics that will impact your wallet today and in the future. Money Talk with Melanie airs Monday through Friday, 5 p.m. East, 2 p.m. West, right here on SHR Media and High Plains Pundit Talk Radio. You can't afford to miss it.
Beware, the Jersey Takeover is here. Every Monday through Friday, 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, you can catch River Common Sense Show hosted by Jersey Joe, right here on shrmedia.com. Only Jersey can deliver hell like no one else. So consider this your fair warning.
Hey guys, this is Sean from the Sackheads Radio Show. Check us out every Wednesday, 8 p.m. Pacific on the SHR Media Network.
And this is Sackhead Clint, is the best looking one of the bunch. It's my duty to remind you to check us out on our YouTube channel.
And don't forget to check us out on the SHR Media Facebook page. The best looking one? Really? You gonna go there?
Every Wednesday, 8 p.m. Pacific, right here on the SHR
Voters' Choice. I
Media
have the award.
Network.
Human by race, Christian by faith, American by nationality, and conservative by choice. Reverend Ralph J. Chittum Sr. is the right guy on SHR Media from 8:05 to 9 p.m. Monday through Friday. And if on the rare occasion I am ever wrong, I will still always be right. The right guy on SHR Media.
This is Sam on SHR Media. You can listen to my new show starting on Tuesdays in January. Get my perspective on national politics, a conservative's perspective on California politics, the latest in the war on terror, all of that and a lot more here on Tuesdays at SHR Media. And don't forget to follow me on Twitter at Sam_SHR Media.
When dirty politicians, shadow governments, and deceptive Islam blind the world with fake stream media smoke, their only fear is one man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me through shrmedia.com, highplainstalkradio.com, and the Western Free Radio Network at Spreaker, YouTube, and iTunes for a different perspective weekly on the unpleasant blind guy. And catch me on Jeff Mitchell's EDL Radio on blogtalkradio.com. There's no surrender ever, because truth is not always pleasant.
Hey, this is Michael Wright.
And I'm Shannon Wright.
Join us for The Right Way with Shannon and Mike, Monday through Thursday from 7 to 9 a.m. right here on SHR Media.
Why are they joining us?
For fun things like sports, politics,
Oh, maybe some news and entertainment?
and all kinds of other things.
Money and recipes and events? All kinds of stuff.
Yeah, so join us Monday through Thursday, 7 to 9 a.m. here on shrmedia.com.
Broadcasting behind enemy lines in occupied California, a mere 2 miles from the state capital, the bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon Radio Show can be heard every Tuesday and Thursday night at 8 Pacific and 11 p.m. Eastern, only on the SHR Media Network. Go to shrmedia.com to listen. You can also watch on the SHR Media Facebook page and the SHR Media YouTube channel. No goldfish were abused.
Hey, it's Sean from the Sackheads Radio Show.
Hey, it's Sean from the Sackheads Radio Show.
And Sackheads BZ.
Wait, I'm Sean.
I'm Sean.
All right, listen, we'll figure this out every Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Pacific, right here on
Where the hell is Clint?
on the SHR Media Network, www.shrmedia.com. Check us out on Facebook and YouTube. Now, right back to this amazing show right here on the SHR Media Network.
You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Welcome back. You're listening to Money Talk with Melanie. I'm your business diva, Melanie Collette, and my guest today is the one and only, his awesomeness is himself, Mike Fitzpatrick of NCX Group. He is a cybersecurity expert, and he was just helping us out with the 7 deadly sins of cybersecurity. I think we were on 5, Mike. Is that where we were?
I think we're close. All right. So real quick, number 1 and 1A is physical security. 1A is corporate culture. 3 is there's no technology that's going to say no silver bullet. Number 4, we're actually on 4. Information security costs too much. That's something I hear a lot as far as investing in cybersecurity. The reality is that if you don't invest in cybersecurity, it can cost you your business. The statistics on this are incredibly crystal clear. 50% of all businesses last year had some type of breach. Of that 50%, 66% were out of business within 6 months. cost of dealing with a cyber breach to your reputation, to your actual pocketbook with fines and fees and the amount of money that you're going to have to pay out is devastating. So you have to invest in cybersecurity. We have one client, mortgage company, heavy within cybersecurity based on 6 or 7 years. They actually have an opportunity to grow their business through providing new loan servicing options for another bank. And their new program, their new services, was predicated upon passing a security audit. We came in, did the audit, produced the results, talked to the bank, and as a result, they got a contract, a 10-year contract with this new bank for $2 billion a year in services.
Wow.
This is a $20 billion contract. So you have to become secure. Third-party vendors now are requiring audits and assessments from each other. And quite frankly, if you're a government contractor, guess what? President Trump signed an executive order requiring all departments within the federal government pass a NIST or standardize on NIST as a cybersecurity model. Well, the General Services Administration, who awards all the contracts, just came out yesterday and said, every vendor that we have must be NIST 800-171 compliant. So what they're saying is, we want you to have a security program if you're doing business with us, and they don't care about the size of it. They want you to have a security program that you can actually show that you are doing what you say that you're doing. So that's the reality of it, right? Security costs too much, but you got to invest in it to grow your business today.
Now I was going to say, it surprises me that there wasn't some pushback by some smaller businesses suggesting that it wasn't fair because, how can they afford, like you were saying, one of the deadly sins is that it's not affordable. And I'm just surprised from a policy perspective that there wasn't a lot of pushback on that.
Well, again, it's just coming out. The DOD did this, Department of Defense did this 2 years ago. So everybody that is a DOD contractor, I don't care if you're making salt, I don't care if you're making clothing, I don't care if you're painting buildings, you have to meet the NIST standard for unsecured confidential information. So this is anything that isn't top secret or requires a clearance. It's everything else. And so the General Services GSA is now pushing that as the way forward for dealing with the rest of federal government. I think you're going to see this roll to state and local too. They want to know that who they're dealing with they can trust. And that being able to document a security program is how they do it.
For sure. And you would think that the government, quite frankly, because they hold so much of everyone's information, would be setting the example and kind of leading the way in that regard.
You would hope. But what we've seen is state and local governments, which I've done some work in, and I won't comment on the federal government, but state and local are typically 3 or 4 years behind where the private sector is.
For sure.
For sure. And so I know we're getting close to the end. So the next one is don't tell the boss. I label it as don't tell the boss.
Okay.
There's a significant communications problem between the executive teams and IT teams. They're each afraid of each other.
That sounds about right.
So you have the executives who are confident and secure in everything that they know, but their one area of weakness is typically technology. Then you've got the IT people that are very strong with technology. The force is strong with them in technology. And so, but they're not real confident talking to people. They're very comfortable with their screens. And you know this from programming.
Yes.
They're very comfortable with their screens. They don't like confrontation. they don't understand the business side of it. So the two work around each other. A lot of what I did last year when I talked to 500 CEOs was to encourage them to go out and have a beer or a meal or something with their IT people. Don't talk about business. Just develop a relationship with them. Because every business today is a technology company. They don't make widgets anymore. They're a tech company. And so you have to develop that relationship with your IT professional.
You cannot be afraid of your IT people. You really can't. But I think you're right. I think there's such an information gap there that they are. And people, listen, people are afraid of technology still in this day and age in general, which is kind of shocking. That there's still this like segment of society, and I suspect that some of them are your CEOs and executives that you're talking about that still have this kind of fear of technology and thus IT people in general.
Well, and in some cases, and I take this from some of the peer groups that I spoke to, they've given too much power to their IT people. And they've given so much power to their IT people, they can't fire them, even though they hate them. I actually had a guy tell me this.
Oh, that doesn't surprise me.
It's an interesting dynamic. So communication is really important. There's an absolute serious disconnect. And both parties have to talk to each other in order to be effective with cybersecurity. The next one is compliance doesn't equal security. You heard me say this. Security is security. Compliance is compliance. Compliance is nothing but a gold star kind of thing.
Yes.
It's a necessary evil, but it doesn't make you secure. Security makes you secure. And you have to decide which camp you're going to be in from that standpoint. And then the final sin is you always have to analyze your risk. The threats are constantly changing, and you have to be able to adapt, improvise, and overcome those threats. They're never static. They're coming at you from 360 degrees, and it is three-dimensional.
So go ahead. I'm sorry.
So you have to anticipate. You have to prepare for where those may be coming from, and that's why a plan is so critical.
And from the beginning, just like a financial plan, like you were saying, you really need to be prepared. And now, thank goodness, people are kind of saying that in advance. Look, if you want to do business with us, you need to meet this criteria. From cybersecurity is literally in every facet of everything that we do. So important.
Without a doubt. And the unfortunate thing is, as I said, I talked to 500 CEOs last year, and the question I always ask before I start a talk is, how many of you have conducted a security assessment? And I've been asking that question since 2002 with the first speaking engagement that I ever did on this subject. And when I asked that question in 2002, a couple of hands would go up. You would think in 2017, or 2018 now, knowing what we know about cybersecurity, the devastation that can come from a breach, that people would be more engaged. But Melanie, out of the 500, only 7 raised their hand during the course of the year.
Wow. And you're going to give us the names of those companies, right? I'm kidding.
And these are companies with between 100 employees and 900 employees. So, I mean, they're not small.
That's scary, especially when I'm sure some of these companies probably handled credit information or medical information, or, the list goes on and on.
Without a doubt. Without a doubt. But we've had hospitals in the past. I mean, think about this. HIPAA's been around since 1996.
True.
Hospitals still are probably the most at-risk business outside of education and the government that there is healthcare providers. There's more information, there's as much information, I should say, in your medical files as there is on a mortgage application.
That's frightening. Okay, look, we actually are coming to the close of the program. Tell us how we can get in touch with you if we want to avail ourselves of your services or hear you speak or listen to your podcast. Go.
Okay, so the best way to get in touch with me is to go to the website ncxgroup.com. That's ncxgroup.com. Leave a message there. You can follow us on Twitter and Facebook at NCX Group. There's a theme here. If you are adventurous and would like to hear a short podcast on whatever rant I have for that particular day, you can go to Bite Size Security on Anchor, anchor.fm, and listen there. But it's also available through Google Play, iTunes, and a couple of other places. So probably each subject's around 5 minutes, just on one particular thing.
And they are absolutely excellent. They are so impressive. Mike Fitzpatrick does not know how to do anything halfway, for sure. They are so good.
Well, I appreciate that.
I appreciate that very much. Well, listen, thank you so much for being on the show today. I'm going to see you very soon, next month.
Absolutely.
And we'll talk.
To it.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Have a great night.
You too, Melanie. Thank you.
Yep. You're listening to Money Talk with Melanie. I'm your business diva, Melanie Collette. Coming up tomorrow, actually, I have another dreaded meeting. It actually might end up being a snow day, so maybe I'll pop up and surprise you. But on my schedule is a meeting. We'll see. And on Friday, I am going to have Dan from XYZ Group who's going to talk to us about cryptocurrency. Should be pretty fun and exciting. I want to thank everybody for listening out there in SHR Media Land and High Plains Planet Talk Radio Land. You guys in Facey, you totally rock. Thank you for the awesome questions. Remember, all of this is very important because after all, it's your money. Have a great night.